My beer names all tell stories. Some of them I can talk about, some of them I can't. Some of them are kind of personal to me. Some of them are funny, and some of them are sad. And some of them are just true. You know. Watch your noggin, though. Excuse the mess. We're busy back here. I grew up in a fishing boat. I bought my outfit when I was 22. And I love the fishing part of it. And I just get sick of the politics and the crap over it. So I told my wife, I said, I'm done. I said, kids are growing up. You know, I want to do something totally different. I'm changing it up. So I sold my outfit. And I told her, I said, I'm going to build a brewery. I've been making beer for 42 years. So the plan was to open on Thursday nights, make a week's pay, and just, you know, live the good life. And this was an oyster processing plant that I'd had. And there was all kinds of people talking about it and thinking, what's he think he's going to do down here, starting a business on a dirt road? What happened was my eyes were open and I seen what it was, or I seen what it could have been, and I just let it do the talking. Every expansion we have done, and this is no kidding, it's never been a financial decision. It was always about we're running out of beer, and people are like, oh my God, we can't get the friggin' beer. So now we're open 7 days a week, 364 days of the year.
Did you want it to be a business, or was it a hobby?
I don't know. I mean, if you guys asked me an honest question, then would be an honest answer. To be totally truthful, I never really thought about it. I didn't think about it, I just did it. Anyway, so that's been kind of a learning curve in the whole thing. And it's been a lot of fun. And I intend to do this until I'm not here anymore. But for the most part, there's not much I do. It's the beer gods that take care of the beer. Rarely yeast and hops just want to make beer. Just stand out of their way and keep stuff clean. It's always drinkable, you know what I mean? It depends. If it's at 2 o'clock in the morning and the fiddler's still there. The easiest part of a beer is making it. The hardest part is naming it. And that's no kidding. There's a whole lot of stories around the oyster thief. My currency was always a little different than money. And one of the currencies, believe it or not, which is really stupid, was me being bone tired. Because it made me feel good. So I came home from fishing lobsters, and I was in bed before the sun was down. My wife said, Donna, she said, Eric, she said, somebody's over in the building. So I jumped up and pulled my pants on, and I took a look down. Sure enough, there's a car. And I turned around, and my wife was at the doorway. She said, do you see anybody? Well, she yelled, and they heard, and they started running. Well, they had filled their trunk of their car full of oysters. They were stealing oysters. And I was really mad. I mean, I'll give you anything, man. What's mine is yours, but don't steal it from me. I couldn't catch them. I chased them all the way out to Conway Road, and they were in an old beat-up Mustang, and I was in a half-ton truck full of anchors. So I came home and I called the Mounties, and of course they couldn't do anything. So I just went to bed. But I knew who it was. I recognized the guy. When I made another batch of beer, and I called it the oyster thief. He knows who he is, and he's safe from me, but that's going to be a reminder so that I know who you are. I don't know if you're going to be able to put this in video or not, but when our rink burnt down in Tyne Valley, when it burnt down, I said, what can I do? How can I help? So I sat down and made a recipe. Sometimes I don't even write them down, I just make them. It's kind of like your grandmother making biscuits, maybe. So I came up with this lager, and I call it rink rat. So I donated the whole batch and the whole proceeds and wrote a check out for the rink. And people loved it. They loved the beer. So in order for me to make it again, I will not rename a beer unless I change the recipe. So I changed it a little bit. And I thought of Wayne, and it's Shits and Giggles saying, and I named it Shits and Giggles. It's probably our biggest seller. Because, I mean, we can get a laugh. That's what we need. We all need a laugh. If you take it serious, you probably got a problem, really and truly. This is the first sign you see coming down the road normally. And then a little ways down the road, a little further, you'll see this sign. And when you're almost here, you'll see this sign. When the community heard that I was getting married, 2 old guys said, come see me. These guys that I did some stuff for over the years, just helped out, whatever. Great guys with stories to tell, because that was their currency, was stories, That was what that was what their life was remembering and telling, and we were interested. Anyway, the guy that I went and seen, Frank, and he said, by the G, boy, he said, I got something for you if you want it. And I said, what's that, Frank? He said, there's a piece of property, he said, right there. Well, I said, Frank, what do you want for it? He said, not a thing, boy. He said, just check in on us soul fellows once in a while. So I cleared the land. A couple of young guys around home, they had quite a story to tell about. They were just small boys helping me clearing the brush and stuff, and they still talk about that yet today. And finished the house off in '83. I named a Belgian triple that I barrel aged, which is really unique. It's not beer. And this one's called Let's Be Frank. And it's kind of maybe as a hint to some of these older folks that have something here. If I wouldn't have had that gift of land, because it was more than a chunk of land and it's more than a house. Doing that made me a little bit of who I am today. You know, it put the tools in my hands and I built something. And it goes beyond that to the people that helped me as well. I'll never forget, there's a place in Hartford, there was people that come and help me shingle the house, that helped me stand up the walls. It wasn't a all alone kind of a deal. And I'll never forget any of it. I mean, and it created a person. It built confidence in me. You know, I found out when I was younger, I had two speeds: wide open or nothing. When I worked, man, I worked. I worked from daylight till dark. You know what I mean? Relaxation is kind of something that I find a little bit not worth it. It's not rewarding. You know, I was full-time fishing, running a processing plant. But then I took the stupid notion to tell a bunch of fishermen, I said, "You're all idiots." And they said, "Why?" So I laid out a little bit of a story and we formed a cooperative in 1990. I ended up managing it for 30 years. And it became a pretty good thing. I sat on the fishing co-op, boards of directors. I was on the board of directors of the credit union, so I was nominated for that. Sat on the PEI Fishermen Association board. I sat on the PEI Shell Fishermen Association board, vice president of that for quite a while. But it took a lot of time away from our family. The more you get to know me, you know, once I get an idea in my head, that's pretty hard to shut me up. And it's not always my ideas. I listen, and I hear what other people need in their lives or want in their lives to make their lives better. I don't even want to do it sometimes. I just got to do it. Did you ever feel that way about anything? If I don't do it, who's going to do it? You know, and then people need some of us to do that sometimes, you know. I'm just a face in the crowd trying to find out what is my role in creating a happiness for the people that I love and also creating a happiness for me. To see the full potential that I have in this life. Look, what is my potential? And does that mean I'm going to change the world? No, not absolutely not. I'm talking about me and the people around me. So I guess that's what my journey is now. And I think I've been on that journey all my life in lots of ways. And it's just sometimes I've been so distracted by so many other things. I might get emotional. But I've been distracted because, I mean, you have to be distracted sometimes. So you got to get your hours in. You got to get your paycheck. You got to pay your bills. You got to take care of the car. You got to drive your kids to school. You got to, you know, all these things that kept us distracted from. You only get to do this part here once. I don't know what's after. And what if I could do one thing that would create some happiness for others? I guess that's probably it, really. That's it. This has been a growth spurt for me as a human being. Because I have no idea where it's going. I only ran the business for 2 weeks. After that, the business ran me. I facilitate for this thing that I've created. After I done it, I'm thinking, what am I thinking? You know, really, what am I thinking? But if I didn't have to think because I didn't care. And people kept on coming. They just kept coming.
And why?
Well, because we're people. And we need this. We need a place to be what we have been since the day we crawled out of the muck. We need each other. And we need places to be able to do it. And this happened to be the place. You can't have a community unless the community knows each other. You can have a community and people can live there, but if you don't know who your neighbors are and you don't know that's not a community, that's just a bunch of people blobbed up on the spot. So that's part of the job of playing, I guess. You know? Yeah, of course it's about the beer to a certain degree, but it's not. Really, it's not. It's really not. And at the end of the night, they're probably talking about, Lord knows, anything else but the beer. So was it about the beer, or was the beer just a vehicle to break the ice for human interaction? And maybe that's what beer is. It's about people. And it's about us and enjoying life and, you know, tasting different flavors. Don't be stuck in the same old boring Alpine or Coors or whatever. Try something new. This is Island Digital Voices or something. I don't know going. I have no idea how it's going to turn in. We're going to see.
Yeah, well, all right.
See you, Arnold.